Hey guys, how's it going? And welcome back to Diary of a Trans Pediatrician. This is Ashley, your host. Yeah, I haven't had a podcast for a couple months now, and I was really doing some soul searching on how to do this. I think that I want to be more true to the title of diary and just kind of talk from my heart a bit more. And I've been thinking a lot about the election the last couple months and what it means for me and folks in the trans community. And I was seeing a patient recently in clinic that I think illustrates a good point. She was a trans teen with I was on hormone therapy for gender dysphoria symptoms, and I was just seeing her in an initial appointment just to kind of help manage her care and just moving forward. And as I was talking to her with her mom, she was pretty quiet in the room, and I realized that probably after a little bit it'd be nice to talk with her, just the two of us. And I typically do that in visits anyway, but this just seemed maybe a little bit more important, this time. And so her mom stepped out of the room and we talked for a bit. I asked her how she was doing and with her mood and if she felt sad or down or things like that. And she confided in me that since the election, it had been really hard. She'd been really sad and down and she wasn't sure. And she talked to me more about those thoughts and feelings of feeling sad and down and more anxious and those types of things. And wasn't sure what to expect going forward, and she'd had some thoughts of hurting herself too, and that had gotten worse over time. And she didn't have a specific plan, which was great, and I didn't have to take any, steps to help keep her safe, which was good. And I think that it was a good appointment overall, and I think that we were able to find some ways going forward to help. And I think with her family's support, I think she'll do well. But the last couple months have been hard for a lot of us, since the election and Donald Trump was elected again for another term. And, I think it's easy to forget those things and, thinking that, oh, there's not that many of us in the trans community and really, right? And you don't know somebody maybe that's trans and it doesn't affect you directly. But we are hurting. We definitely are. And, I've had some of those same thoughts that she had. She mentioned feeling really sad and down and anxious and difficulty sleeping because she was anxious. I felt all those things too. And when she talked about thoughts of hurting herself, I've had those same thoughts too these last couple months. And it's hard to say that and admit that, to be honest, especially for an audience. But I have. I've definitely had those feelings. And there's sometimes I've gotten up in the morning and made it to work, and I just celebrated that day, thinking, "Wow, I did this. I'm here and seeing patients and doing my job, not just laying in my bed crying, feeling sad and down, which I've had a lot of days like that too, especially on time off, especially when I'm here on a holiday or weekend or, things like that. Even stepping out of my place is really hard for me. I live in a really progressive area and community, and I see folks that are trans around me all the time when I go outside, but it's still hard for me to be myself and just step out. And I think that's how it is for a lot of trans people too. But, just getting up in the morning and getting myself ready, to look like myself and to present as myself. When I look in that mirror, I don't see a woman a lot of times when I get up, especially without a wig on and underwear and a bra and clothes and, all those things and makeup. All the things I do on a regular basis to help me look more like myself. And, I've had people tell me, it seems kind of vain sometimes or like I'm a stereotypical woman doing a lot of those things. And I get it. Maybe putting on makeup and some of the things I wear may be more stereotypical of how people think of some women. I think that's probably true, but I don't do that for them. And I don't do it for an image per se. I do it because I want to look like me and I want to be me. And sometimes it's hard to find that person. That person sometimes still feels like she's tucked in there away and I'm still trying to find her. And I'm still trying to put on that face every day that makes me feel like I'm me. That not only am I a woman and that's the person I see reflected back, but can I live that? Can I go out and walk around and do my daily things and go to work and still feel that way when the spotlight's on me? At least that's what it feels like when I go out, when other people are around. In reality, I know it's not, and that's just how I feel personally. But I mean, that's how I feel a lot, right? That people are staring at me thinking, wow, who is that person that's, has a wig on and looks like a dude or, whatever. I mean, I think about those things a lot. And, even here, it really bothers me. And I was talking at a meeting more today about our community and just gender dysphoria symptoms and the trans community and all those things in relation to the election results and what it's like to be a minority and how those things feel and that kind of weight you feel with feeling oppressed and feeling like we don't have basic rights like others do and feeling like we're pushed to those margins and edges and all those things that go along with being trans, not just us exclusively, of course, but it's for that way among many minority communities, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, it really feels that way for us right now that in some ways we're in that spotlight nationally. I don't just feel that way, I think, here. I think that's the case throughout the U.S. right now when the big spotlight's been put on us and our community. And Donald Trump took office. I know he's already taken some measures to define men and women based on biological sex or how they were assigned at birth. And I know a lot of this is political. I get it, but it hurts. Those things hurt a lot. They really, really do. And it's a big deal. It's really, really hard to hear those things, and they add up. I mean, it's hard to avoid 100% hearing what occurs in the media, particularly at that level, right? At the presidential level. It's also hard to know what to do with that. What do we do with that information? Where do we go from here? There's a lot of fear among members of the trans community and what's going to happen next. Is the other shoe going to drop? What's going to happen? Are there going to be bans on gender affirming care? Is it going to happen in trans youth? Is it going to affect my ability to do my job as a pediatrician? All those things. And those things really weigh heavily on a lot of us. And for me, it's really hard for me to think about these things. And I know I have a job and I'm not concerned about that specifically right now, but it's just a lot. It's been a lot to take in. And, I don't always know how to carve a path forward. What's the best way to help us and our community, how to help kids, during this time? What do we do next? But I was watching a couple TV shows and movies recently that, just to kind of take my mind off things. And there was a common theme among all those things I watched. And that was the idea of heroes. Because that's what we need right now. We need heroes. We need people to step up and talk about how they really feel and who they really are. And we need allies to do the same, to step up and say, we support you and we're here for you. And that being trans in and of itself is normal. It's normal. It's not something that's made up or contrived. It isn't something that just happened in some way. It's just simply who we are, right? That's it. The girl I saw and thinking of her and myself, we're still trans. We still dress like ourselves, and we haven't given those things up because, again, it's who we are. I cannot take that part of myself away. It is a part of me, and that will always be a part of me. I can't take it away from myself. I can't subtract that part of me and throw it away. I tried to do that for years in therapy and thought that, man, what if I just work hard enough on this, it'll be gone and go away, and I could find a way forward without being trans, without being myself, as if that even makes sense. And now it sounds absurd to say, but that's what I felt like for a long time. That's what I needed to do. And I think now, despite the fact that things are so hard, it's important to find a way forward. And I think all of us do that in life. We need a sense of purpose. We need things to be able to strive for in life. We need things that keep us going. It's important for all human beings. And it's important for the trans community too, right? It doesn't mean that we're going to give up and not be trans, right? And I say it like that because it's not a thing. We can't do that. It's not possible. So I think others can say that as much as they want, that there are two genders in this world, and that's all there is, and there's no other way to look at it. But in reality, And we've been here forever, trans people, and we weren't always called transgender, but we've still been here, and we're not going to go anywhere. We can't go anywhere, right? Because it's who we are on the inside, and it'd be a lot easier if others could just accept that, and that was the way forward. Acceptance, and I think we'll get there. I do someday. It's really hard right now. My therapist and I have talked about how we're kind of at the forefront of the battle in the trans community right now, particularly those that are transitioning. Transitioning is such a hard time anyway, as a part of being trans, but it's a big time for, others knowing more about the real you and all those things. And those moments we can come out and we feel comfortable doing that. I mean, those are really big moments. And I think that's a big way we show, the world out there that we really are normal, and that's it. That's what we do. And sure, we are quirky and weird in some ways, quote unquote, but that doesn't mean we're not normal. I mean, being trans is totally normal. It is 100% normal. And, just as people that are cisgender are assigned female birth, that's how they identify, or assigned male birth, that's how I identify. I would tell you, I believe that being trans is just as normal as that. And I know a lot of people won't agree with that, and I get that, but I do. I strongly feel that way. There's no other way to explain how I identify other than the fact it is just me. And it's been that way for as long as I can remember. My first thoughts about, my gender and who I was, and maybe more of those thoughts that were challenging some of that. I do remember that well. Challenging those, assumptions or things that I thought I knew. That's what I'm getting at. But, I think going forward, heroes, I mentioned that earlier, that's what we need. We need people to step up to the plate and just be there and just say, hey, you know what? It doesn't matter what one person says. It doesn't matter what a group of people say that don't believe in us or believe that being trans is okay. We can't let that group win, right? And I think that this time could be a great time for our community. It could be a wonderful time. It could be a time of growth and opportunity. And I just hope that we're able to rise that challenge, that others can do that too. And, just show the world that, we're here and we're here to stay. And, being a hero isn't something big. You don't have to wear a cape. You don't have to fly. You don't have to have a special power or ability. It's just the fact that you stand up, others see you, admire you for what you've done, and you made a difference, right? You made a difference in some way, and that's what a hero is. And gosh darn it, I'm trying to be that hero by doing this. And I didn't do a great job the last couple months. I haven't had a podcast out in a while, but I'm really trying. I really am, and I'm hoping at some point I can do that. I can be a bigger voice for our community. I just, right now it's been hard to deal with my own personal demons and my own depression, anxiety, and my own thoughts of hurting myself, and all those things that we all deal with in our community. Everybody deals with these things. I get that, but it's just such a high percentage, a high number in the trans community. It's just so big, so many people that have to go through this. But as I've gone through this, I've wondered a lot recently. Can I keep getting up? Can I keep doing this and picking myself up over and over again? And I can't tell you how many therapy sessions I've talked about that exact same thing. How many times can I do this? How many times can I be resilient and bounce back? And I don't know. I don't know the answer. I don't know how many times I can do it. I hope that number is a really, really big one. I hope so. Sometimes it feels like I do that every day. I have to bounce back and find a way to get up. And I know a lot of others in our community feel that same way too. Just like that girl I saw in clinic, just like that other trans woman, a trans woman just like me, just like her. And I hope we can all continue to do those things. And what I hope we don't see is a lot more suicide and anxiety, a lot more deaths due to suicides, particularly in our community. And that's what I'm afraid of in the next 4 years. I'm very much afraid of that. And I'm very much afraid of seeing more patients come into my clinic that want to hurt themselves, and more patients that are wondering what are they going to do if they don't have access to gender affirming therapies like they had before, and what are they going to do about the laws that are passed and things that are proposed that affect our community. What are those answers? And I don't have them all. I don't. I'm willing to listen and sit there. And I wish I had all the answers. That'd be great. But that's not how it works. And that's not why I'm there, right? To provide all the answers. It's there to provide part of it, a piece of the puzzle, right? That's to help take care of you medically. And I can help treat anxiety, depression, and I can recommend therapists or psychiatric providers if needed. And I could talk more about gender dysphoria, and I could talk more about treatments, and I could talk more about feeling like yourself, and I could talk more about how I identify, and if that's helpful to the family, then great. If that's helpful to the patient, great. And I'm happy to do all those things, but it's not enough. I can't do it alone. I'm not going to create the kind of change we need by myself. So if there's one thing I would say from my podcast today, I would say, please help. I take solace in the fact that when I do go outside, when I can live my life as myself, that in and of itself makes a difference. It shows others out there it's okay to be us. It's okay to be trans. It's okay to be quote unquote different. Those things are okay. And in and of itself, that can be heroic. It could be. I don't feel like it is right now, to be honest, but it could be. But I think we're going to need a lot more than that. We really are. But as for me, I'll continue to see patients and families and, practice medicine and do all the things that I've trained to do, learned to do, and build those relationships with families and trans kids and work with my coworkers on advocacy and all the efforts we work on outside the organization to, promote the trans community. I want to continue to do those things as long as I can, and I hope as long as I can is years down the road, if not decades down the road. But I don't know. There's a lot of times I don't know. I just don't know if I can make it that long. I don't know. I wish that there was an easy answer. That was an easy path forward. It was easy, something I could just do, and that would be it, but in reality, it's not really how it's worked for me. I haven't been able to find that, easy answer. And, so what I guess it comes down to is just putting one foot in front of the other and just keep going forward, keep going. I guess I just ask everybody out there to keep going forward with me. And I hope you can do that. I hope you can be a voice for us. You can show others it's okay to be trans. You can do all the little things that add up to being a hero. And maybe it only takes one small thing. It's just that it takes time to recognize that one small thing, when you do it over and over again, is who a hero really is. And maybe that's what it's all about today. So on that somber note, I really appreciate everybody listening. I'm going to try to make my episodes maybe a bit more like this going forward. Just straight from the heart, straight from the soul. That's I think maybe better to do, at least for the time being. And thank you for listening to my podcast. And you can catch me on diaryofaTransPediatrician.buzzsprout.com, my Facebook page, Diary of a Trans Pediatrician, my YouTube channel, Ashley Brown MD. And you can also check me out on most of the major podcast platforms. I hope you have a good night, and thanks for listening.